Okay, I think we are now live. In theory. Let's see. If you can see me, if you can hear me, give me a shout. If you can't hear me, let me know that too. That'd be awesome. And as always, I'll try and remember to say this a few times throughout the evening. Actually, I'll go ahead and pull it up here. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you could hop over to Patreon, if that's loud. Is it too loud? Am I clipping? Am I distorting? Da-da-da-da. Let's see. All right, my levels look good here. I'll turn me down just a touch. Okay, so if you are watching this on YouTube, and you want to leave a comment somewhere, if you could hop over to Patreon, it makes it a little bit easier for me just to keep track of everything in one place. Inevitably, I will miss something, and I'll see it as soon as I'm done streaming, because that seems to be what happens every single time. But I'm gonna try and stay on top of it. All right. So, hello, Anne. Good day. Good day. Did I do that authentically? Good day. I'm gonna stop that. I'll never do that again. I'm sorry, Anne. While I was in the UK, someone told me that I didn't have an American accent. They could tell I wasn't from around there, but they were surprised when I said I was from Tennessee. And Lori, hey, I've been Facebook stalking the group Valley Dulcimer gathering. That looked fun. With Anne was there. Anne Lowe. Jolly memories. Did you guys play? Have another ping pong tournament? Nikki is actually in Spain right now in Oviedo, and they've got ping pong tables set up throughout the downtown area in Oviedo. It's pretty impressive. I'm pretty jealous. It's cooler weather and an abundance of ping pong tables. Yeah, it looks awesome. Never touched the paddles. That's a bummer. I'm sorry to hear that. All right. So I'm just making my way through small talk to give people a few minutes to get in here. Just a few more minutes. So if I look a little bit red in the face, or I look like I'm sweating a little bit, well, I am a little bit red in the face. I actually managed to get slightly sunburned while I was in Scotland, which I'm pretty sure makes me just about one of the palest people on the planet. But tonight for dinner, I thought it would be a good idea to make myself Indian food. Figured that will last me until I leave for KMW. And it was the hottest batch I've made so far. I'm still sweating, and yeah, it was painful. Still is painful, but it's okay. I'm gonna get through this. I might have to take a little break and down some more water at some point, because yeah, I've got no idea what was different about it this time around, but it was yeah, painful. It was great. It was a pretty sweaty mess while I was eating that, but it's usually how I like to eat Indian food, but usually I retreat and become a hermit for a few hours afterwards so I can just, suffer in solitude. But that's okay. I need to figure out what I did and not do that again. So that was just a little bit too painful. Okay. So I've given people enough time. All right. So I'll say this one more time. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you could, if you're gonna leave a comment or ask a question, that's totally cool. Just if you could pop over to Patreon and leave a comment in this post so that I'll see it. It'll be easier for me to stay on top of it, and I'm less likely to miss anything. So on that note, as I said in this last post that I did where I ran down Wildwood Flower, I'm just coming back from a camp called Kaufman's Acoustic Camp for Old Time Week. And this year was this is my second year doing it. It was just absolutely amazing for the second year in a row. Unfortunately, I won't be there next year. But fortunately, my good friend and many of our good friend, Sarah Morgan, who was actually teaching the year before I did this, is going to be back, and I'll be back in I think 2 years after. Yeah, so 2 more years. I think that's what we said. We'll figure it out. But for Dulcimer players, even though I'm not teaching next year, I still can't recommend this camp enough that you go check it out. If you're into doing multi-instrument work, especially in the old time realm, there's so much cool stuff you get to do at this camp. It's a really nice balance between spending a lot of time in class working on your instrument specifically, and then there's a good amount of time for workshops that are, I'm sorry, these jam sessions that are multi-instrument. You'll go through different keys and that are slow enough to be instructional. It's like kind of a guided jam. It's really cool. But we also do master classes and stuff. And I did teach one workshop on Irish rhythm guitar, which was a lot of fun. I got to nerd out on that. And I did sort of an informal presentation on Scotch whiskey of different regions, and that was a lot of fun. But let's see. So that's where I'm coming from. Also coming from, this is the first one I've done since I got back from the UK. And I'm already planning on going back. Don't have those solid dates yet, but I've been in touch with our good friend Amanda, who did most of the organizing for the gigs on the front end of this trip. And we're scheming, trying to do some more workshop related stuff. And that should be jolly. Well, I believe I mentioned before that there was this college where I worked with some younger players, and the idea is that they're going to get a handful of dulcimers and go out into the community and start teaching mountain dulcimer in England, in Somerset, England, and that's just awesome, I think. Anyway, so I'm staying in touch with them and hoping to do some more, providing some instructional material. But on the next trip, I'm planning on working with the students and how they can go about teaching this instrument. So, interesting thing about that, though, I think anyway, I realized on this last trip, I have not taught very much in the way of absolute beginners. And so that's been sort of a giant hole in my learning how to teach process. And so now after the UK, I actually have more experience teaching absolute beginners on that side of the ocean than I do in the US. But I had an amazing time doing it. I really want to do more of it now, working with absolute beginners. There's one thing that I realized was so often, I think where the biggest classes are at festivals is sort of the lower intermediate, or what's often called the novice intermediate. The terminology for workshop levels is a little bit weird because novice, as I understand, to some definitions, is lower than a beginner in terms of ability. But we tend to use novice to mean experienced beginner here. So yeah, I think you'll see the biggest workshop turnout for novice intermediates. And I think most of my teaching comes from, intermediate or intermediate advanced. But there's something really cool about working with players on far ends of the spectrum. because I think the goal in these workshops, I realized, is so much more straightforward when everyone is on the same page, has basically the same skill set. Um, with the absolute beginners, the only goal is to help them have some kind of success. And that's cool. It's really straightforward. With the advanced players, it's to give them some kind of challenge that they can go home with. A lot of advanced players find themselves at a bit of a plateau and then need some help moving off of that, finding the next plateau and figuring out how to stretch. And but then there's this whole area in between where like I said, terminology is a little bit mixed up, what exactly each level is. And so teaching to this wide intermediate spectrum is a little bit less direct. And I don't think I really appreciated that until working with absolute beginners. So that was a fun and exciting discovery. So, like I said, I want to figure out how to do more of that. I will not be doing that in the near future. After this, I've got Kentucky Music Week, and let's see. I know I'm doing flat picking. I think I'm doing rapid fire notes there. This week, I know I'm teaching a ukulele blues class, which will be fun. An instrument that I'm barely competent, and I think a flat picked class, and that's about it. Yeah. All right. So Lori and Anne. Kathy. Hey, Kathy. Scottish stuff. Yes. Okay. Yes, that's the other one. Thank you, Kathy. Scottish stuff. I forgot. Yeah, the Scottish class is going to be awesome. So far, most of anytime I've taught a Scottish music workshop, it's either just bagpipes or the lute music, and this is going to be a combination of both for an entire week. It's the first time I've taught this stuff at a week-long camp, so that should be fun. All right, and then after that, the big excitement for me, I absolutely love this topic, teaching composition at Dulcimer U this summer. I did teach this at KMW last year and had a lot of fun with it. I know Kirk House, I don't know if you're hanging out tonight, but I know Kirk, you were in it whenever you see this. And that was just a lot of fun. A lot of that's going to be self-directed. I've had a few people write to me saying that they were concerned because they don't feel qualified. They've never written anything in their life and don't know if they have what it takes to write original music on the Mountain Dulcimer. And, well, if I can answer that now, if you've been wondering that, you absolutely do. Yeah, we'll walk through a few different sources of inspiration. If you don't know where to start, you'll walk away from the week having written something. Several things, actually. But yeah, I like I said, I absolutely love teaching this subject. And the really great thing about it, after talking about working with people, in one workshop that are at different levels in their ability, the really nice thing with composition is that you can make whatever it is you're composing as easy or as difficult as you want it to be. And for me, composition has been a really great way to learn the instrument. It's been a great way to explore the instrument, learn the fretboard up and down. I love it. So yeah, if you're at all curious about writing your own music on the Mountain Dulcimer, I hope I'll see you at Dulcimer U for that composition class, because it's going to be off the chain, I hope. Well, there will be a strict no chains allowed policy in the classroom. Okay. So, all right. So I hit KMW, Dulcimer U. All right. So I wanted to run an idea by you. On Patreon, I think I mentioned this in response to a comment semi-recently. I can't remember what it was relevant to or what I had posted, but someone um, made a request for a specific tune, a specific traditional tune, and a lot of these. I know I'm about to record a an arrangement of Wildwood Flower, which fits into that category of being traditional. Usually, whenever I do those, if I'm performing them, I like to have some kind of spontaneity to it. I like improvising a lot of that stuff. Um, and then what happens is I record it, and then whatever I recorded tends to more or less become my arrangement of the thing. Um, and so if I don't stay on top of that, it's I kind of lose the spontaneity a little bit. I thought to stay on top of that and to give you all something a little extra, and keep things exciting, especially when I start school in the fall, as my interaction with the Dulcimer community and doing Dulcimer stuff will be limited to Dulcimer School and what I put out here on Patreon. I thought I would make it a monthly thing to just do a one take of something by request, something traditional that's most likely that I already know. But if I have to do some reviewing or a little bit of learning for it, that's totally cool. But the idea being something that I can improvise and then afterwards talk through some of the ideas. Thinking that sort of like what I did with Wildwood Flower, when I did that video just outlining what this one idea was. I would like to improvise an entire arrangement, then revisit some of those ideas, break them down, and just show more or less what I was thinking along the way. I don't anticipate I'll transcribe and tab out everything note for note. I've done that in the past, and transcribing something that's improvised can take easily an entire day listening back to it at half speed, and then the notation that comes out ends up being so complex that it's almost not usable or not. What I mean is that even having played whatever it was that was improvised, when you notate something so accurately that it includes all this phrasing stuff, if I were to see that sheet music, that tablature, I wouldn't feel confident playing it, executing it exactly how it's written on the page in front of me. I don't know what that says. Probably something bad. But anyway, I digress. In a nutshell, what I was thinking of was this idea of, like I said, doing things by request in an improvisational setting, just one take, giving a good quality video on it, or good quality MP3 as a release, in addition to all the arranged stuff. But I just wanted to do something to stay on top of the improvisational side, if that all makes sense. And if that seems like a good idea. If that doesn't seem like a good idea, I won't do it. You don't want to see a bunch of improv, a bunch of traditional stuff with the same licks and ideas that I tend to use. I think it was. Well, actually, I don't want to say who I think it was now. But there's a Dulcimer player who I heard say, I don't have an endless bag of tricks. And I remember it being skeptical, because it seemed like they did at the time, and it's kind of like Garfield going to a potato chip factory, where after he sees how it's made, that it's not magic, it kind of ruins the potato chips for him. It's how I vaguely remember that cartoon from years ago. I think the hot Indian food is getting to me. I should stop rambling on about that. All right. So, let's see if I'm missing anything. And all that stuff sounds fabulous. Cool. You got to make it here for a festival at some time. I hope so. I know Australia is very far away. Kathy, yes, I hate tabbing stuff that I learned in a jam. Yeah, it's a bear. It's a total beast. Yeah, it's insane. All right. So let's see if there was anything else I was going to talk to you about. Oh yeah, so there was a question. I think it was Dusty who had this. How is in that Wildwood Flower post that I made recently? I made a reference to Travis style picking. And the question was, how is Travis style picking different from flat picking? And uh, well, what I am doing in that arrangement is flat picking. Um, it's just a certain style of it, and Travis picking really refers to a style of finger picking. Where typically they're playing with a thumb pick, and they're usually alternating the bass. I'll go ahead and grab the dulcimer real quick. Now, for some reason, when I play the dulcimer, it's probably not going to sound great. It's not clipping, but it is getting some kind of electronic distortion. Is that coming through? Let me know if it is. Like I said, for some reason, live streaming this, I don't know what it is, but it tends to get, the sound breaks up a little bit. But Travis style picking, usually, like I said, the characteristic is this alternating bass. So you have a melody going, but beneath that melody, you have something like this bass. Now, that gets worked into all kinds of picking patterns. And because it's hard to keep that going while moving a melody around with only 3 strings, if not just about impossible, it's a bit more doable if you're using 4 equidistant strings. But I'm not doing inauthentic Travis style picking. And so, like I said, just to kind of imitate that pattern, that tends to be sort of the common pulse that you'll hear. That's why I'm just doing this finger picked, or this flat picked pattern. And again, with those chords, it's something like this. So it just keeps that bass thing going the whole time. But yeah, like I said, Travis style picking usually refers to a style of finger picking, actually. And I'm just imitating it. Yeah, I guess what I'm really doing is cross picking, and cross picking is just it's a type of flat picking. It's kind of like it's kind of a damping thing. Yeah. So yeah, typically with Travis style players, they'll use this fleshy part of their hand, like I was doing, but they just mute their lower bass strings so that those are kind of muted. If you listen to Chad Atkins at all, that's a good example. Or if you listen to Doc Watson, Deep River Blues, or something like that. I'll actually, after we're done with the live hangout, I'm gonna search YouTube and I'm gonna try and pull up a good example of Travis style picking and link to it, so that hopefully you'll hear where I'm borrowing the influence from. Like I said, it's not authentic in the least what I'm doing, but it's an imitation. Oh yeah, Sam Pacetti. I always want to pronounce his name, Sam Pacetti. Yeah, Clyde Walker. Yes, if you're in Florida, yeah, those would be good examples. And actually, yeah, Sam was one of my influences on guitar. He's pretty brilliant, and he was influenced by the great Gamble Rogers. Yeah, one of the it's funny actually. Talking about finger picking, just imitating finger picking, but being more of a flat picker. One of my favorite musicians that I met at Kaufman Camp was a young fellow named Josh Goforth, who lives in the Asheville area, and he was there teaching flat pick guitar. But when I was hanging out in the green room with him, he was just killing it on a finger style, and we played a whole bunch back there. And I'm looking forward to actually collaborating with him some more. We're talking about getting together to record a bit, and so it's been a while since I've done any collaboration with a non-dulcimer player. It'll be interesting. I look forward to it. But yeah. Let's see. So yeah, that's Travis style playing. Are there any other questions? I realize that was probably a horrible angle. Drinking that on the webcam. You just gotta look deep into, well, through the glass. I hate to think of what that looked like. Please don't look deep into my mouth. Okay. Man, that Indian food must really be getting to me. I'm saying all kinds of weird stuff. All right. Well, okay. Well, I think that's all I have for you. Like I said, if you have any questions, yell them out in the comments section. I am looking forward to getting some more water. My mouth is still on fire, and my stomach very much so. Like I said, I'm going to be going to KMW this upcoming week. But before I go, I will have a new recording posted for you. There's also a while I was at Kaufman Camp. Okay, so another highlight. Another musician I played with, another couple musicians I played with. The fiddle player Erin Marshall and her husband Carl Jones. On Erin's set, she taught me this really cool, really kind of archaic fiddle tune. I'm just totally drawing a blank on the name. Gosh, it was, I think, Old Christmas Morning, not to be confused with Old Christmas or Breaking Up Christmas, but Old Christmas Morning. Kind of crazy, a Mixolydian piece. Well, I played it on Mountain Dulcimer in her set. I've been arranging it for fingerstyle guitar. So sometime I'm going to go ahead and just share a video of her playing it on fiddle, and I've got the dulcimer notation for it. I think it's just one of the coolest melodies. I want to hear more people in the dulcimer world playing it. So I'm going to share that pretty soon. Like I said, I've got that MP3 of Wildwood Flower that I need to get edited and finalized and posted. So you'll be getting that as well. So a bunch of stuff coming. And will you cover that Wildwood Travis on Dulcimer School? You know, I think I don't know if I'll do it with Wildwood Flower. But yeah, I would actually have some video recorded that that I need to get edited. Actually, another Scottish lute piece to get posted to Dulcimer School. I just need to edit it, and then what I think I'll do, because I do like that picking pattern. I think it's useful. I'll start off with, as I typically do, which is I use Bile and Cabbage Down, because I think it's just a great piece to start learning any technique. Um, and then from there move on and apply it to a little bit busier piece, something like Wildwood Flower. I think that's a good idea. Thank you for bringing that up. And Kathy, I want Old Christmas Morning. I am going to give you Old Christmas Morning. Nickel harp polkas would be good too. I agree. I need to learn some more. I actually ordered some books off of Amazon because, like I said, that fellow that I met, the street musician in Edinburgh, got me just totally re-inspired to dive deep into that kind of music. So yeah, I hope to dive a little bit more into that tradition. Still digging into the Scottish lute stuff, and actually not just Scottish lute, but lute music all across Europe now. So between European lute music and nickel harpa pieces, no, actually not just nickel harpa, but fiddle tunes from Sweden and from the Scandinavian traditions, like the Norwegian fiddle tunes. And going to school, I'll have my hands full, I think, with the academic side in transcribing this. But, I'm really glad for that, because the truth is, and I don't know, sometimes I feel like I should be embarrassed about this, but sometimes I really just enjoy sitting with my computer and some music and just barreling through a whole bunch of notation. On some level, that's really satisfying for me. So during these windows, I might not actually touch the dulcimer for a while. But to some extent, I feel like that's a good thing. Like, that's a healthy thing for me. It makes me appreciate it a little bit more when I pick the instrument back up. All right. So, like I said before, I think that's all I got for you. Or if there are any more questions, holler them out. If not, I'm going to get some more water or something else to see if I can stop my mouth from burning from this Indian food. I kid you not. I have no idea what I did, but it was painful, and I've been in pain this entire time. But okay. All right. See you at KMW, Kathy. And I hope I'll see you sometime. Lori, I'll see you somewhere. I hope at Dulcimer U. I hope. Will I see you at Dulcimer U? Oh, okay. Over on YouTube. Deborah, are songs with words tougher to improv than non-sung songs? Seems they might, simply because we are so used to singing them. That's an interesting question. It really depends on context. I think that it's also interesting, with that question, having a foot in different communities. I remember when I first started doing gosh, what was it? Oh yeah, when I first started teaching at dulcimer workshops and doing dulcimer camps, I was playing really regularly at bluegrass sessions and playing with a really good friend of mine named Mickey Abraham, who's a great bluegrass and jazz guitar player and mandolin player. And a lot of what we did was very improvisational. And I remember it was I played a few dulcimer camps with Mickey, and it was interesting the feedback that I got at dulcimer camps was that it was I remember some people saying they couldn't even hear the melody, like they couldn't tell what song it was I was trying to play or that we were trying to play. And then in the bluegrass realm, where things were a lot more improvisational, the comments that I got, and I took this as a compliment, was your playing is so melodic. You're always true to the melody. So I bring all of that up because I think when there's a particular piece that has lyrics to it, when you're improvising, there's two different contexts. There's playing it with a singer and then improvising in between verses. And then there's playing it solo or with an instrumental group and trying to make that melody stand on its own. To me, I think that if you're playing if you're playing with a singer who's able to state the melody and carry the message of the lyrics, then you can improvise. I think a bit more, go outside of the box and just try and do something that doesn't have to be based in the melody, but that just carries the vibe of whatever that particular song is. Just kind of amplifies the message of the lyrics in some way, supports it. When you're playing instrumental music, on the other hand, again, this is just a personal preference, but if you go too outside of the melody, you might as well just call the song by the chord progression, because that's all that's really happening. If you're just soloing over those chords without sticking to the melody. But again, that's just an opinion. So take that with a grain of salt. A very big grain of salt, because there will probably be a time where I'm guilty of doing exactly that, and going against everything that I just said. So I hope that answers the question. All right. Well, like I said before, my mouth is in a lot of pain, so I'm gonna go get some water. But I think I've hit just about everything. Kathy, you are being a geek. I know. I can't help it. Speaking of which, I think the geeks are supposed to get back on some kind of podcasting schedule. We'll find out. Hey, actually, we might do one at KMW. That's what we've done that a few times, and we can rope other people into it. It's a lot of fun. Try milk instead. I don't have any milk in the house. I've been, Nikki's out of town. I've been living the bachelor lifestyle. I just have enough groceries to make Indian food or whiskey. I contemplated that, but that's just going to make it more painful for a little while until it doesn't, till it heals. Still love you too, Kathy. Yeah, so I'll get this figured out. The pain will subside. Like I said, I know there's a few of you that I'll be seeing at KMW. I will look forward to seeing you then. MP3 of Wildwood Flower to come soon. Also a fiddle video of that tune, Old Christmas Morning, with some dulcimer tab to come, and I'll post something more about that one take idea by request that I want to try and do once every month, in addition to the arrangements that I'm already doing. So more on that soon. I know I posted this kind of last minute that we were doing the Hangout because I realized that KMW was coming up and I was going to be gone the entire last week in June. I'll try and give a little bit more of a heads up for July, but thanks for hanging out with me this evening. It's always jolly, and I will have some more to share with you soon. Good night, everybody.